Hi everyone, I'm Professor Tech, and today we're taking a look at the ROG Ally X after I've had just a few months to play with it. While I was initially hesitant to get this device, after learning about backlight along with some other really useful upgrades, I just had to try it. And honestly, after making some modifications, tweaking some settings, and upgrading some components, this may be the closest thing to my end-all be-all portable gaming handheld console, at least for the foreseeable future. So let's dive right in. The ROG Ally X is the follow-up to ASUS's answer to the Steam Deck, the ROG Ally, that released last year during the summer of 2023. And while the original Ally, specifically the Z1 Extreme chipset version, was undoubtedly more powerful than the Steam Deck, which had a higher refresh rate display, it was infinitely more capable with games due to the fact that it ran native Windows. However, there were some key issues that kept the Steam Deck, and more recently the Steam Deck OLED, which provided even more upgrades, which you can check out as a video up here, on top of the proverbial leaderboard for handheld gaming consoles that were also PCs. The first and perhaps the most notable was the user experience. Windows on handheld is still not quite there. However, there are some pretty great strides being made, and in another video I even admitted that it's getting to a fairly reasonable state. But SteamOS continued to be the de facto portable PC experience, as it just sort of worked. At worst, you'd have to enable a compatibility layer, and that's if the system just automatically doesn't do it for you. This would inherently lead to more users having an easier time because it was a much more reasonable gift to give someone who historically might not have been a PC gamer. It's just easier. The second was battery life. The ROG Ally, even when running on its more power-efficient mode, couldn't hold a candle to the Steam Deck OLED in a similar power mode, and the OLED absolutely crushes the Ally in the mid-wattage range. Again, the Ally did have a higher performance mode that gave it a performance edge, but good luck getting anything to run for more than about 90 minutes or so out of a demanding title like Cyberpunk. And while there were definitely other reasons why the Steam Deck OLED was the preferred handheld for many, lots of people still really enjoy the ROG Ally. But unfortunately, you just can't get around the UX and battery life problems, and to deny them would be, well, a form of insanity. Enter the ROG Ally X. Released in North America on July 22nd, 2024, it serves as both the follow-up to the ROG Ally and as an answer to several of the issues players have had with the original model. Featuring a single configuration, as of the recording of this video, it comes with a 1TB drive doubling the previous year's storage out of the gate, a faster RAM set of 24GB LPDDR5X 7500 RAM, an improved thermal cooling system, a double the battery size, and notably better ergonomics in the handheld section. And there are lots of little upgrades too, like the improved button layout, larger triggers, clickier shoulder buttons, smaller function buttons, and a rim along the edge of the analog sticks to give them a more stable feel in higher paced games. So how exactly has this become my favorite handheld of the current era? Well, I've got 5 things I want to expand on and add to the specs list that I think everyone can appreciate. The battery life, period. Of course, the battery life is one of the big ones. Admittedly, after watching several other reviewers talk about the battery life of the X upon release, I was a little skeptical about how well it actually held up, since a lot of people were claiming that the system not only doubled, but could often go well beyond double the battery life of last year's model. But after playing through several games on the console, I can confidently say that yeah, the power efficiency here is absolutely nuts compared to the original. In games like Call of Duty, I've been able to easily get more than double the battery life, if not significantly more. And in moderately demanding games like Halo or Grand Theft Auto, I've been getting anywhere from 2.3 to 2.4 times the battery life on average. Many people would argue that the original had fine enough battery since you could just plug in the console, which gives you a slightly higher wattage boost as well. But when I tell you how nice it is as someone who constantly travels for work for my day-to-day job, hopping between airports, taxis, and hotels, it is so nice to generally not have to worry about whether my system has enough juice just to get me through the next leg of my trip. And while many people may not be able to relate, hopefully some of you will understand the feeling of not having battery anxiety. When my system or phone or laptop is under that 90-minute mark, it feels like I just started using it. It gives me this weird tinge of anxiety that almost makes me not even want to start using the device. I'm sure a psychologist could offer more insight here, but I know a lot of people in my personal life, in my inner circle, who experience this with their phone. So I know I'm not insane, but I also don't know what to call it. In any case, not having this issue with the X is immensely appreciated. While ASUS did only double the available power in the included battery, the more efficient and more powerful RAM set, along with nominally improved cooling thermodynamics, gives the X the uplift it needs to make me actually want to take it out of my bag while on a cramped airplane seat. And that improved cooling leads to a more comfortable experience as well. Although, admittedly, the heat on my hands was never that bad on the original in my opinion, so it's a marginal upgrade. And the additional cooling makes me feel less annoying when I'm in a quiet room around other people as well. While the original was never super loud, it was definitely loud enough that when I was playing demanding games, other people could hear, but with the X, it's almost silent. The weight distribution. Wait, really? That's one of my 5? Yes. While the device is technically heavier than the original Ally, and definitely heavier than any version of the Steam Deck, the ergonomics and the weight distribution feels much nicer than previous iterations, and it doesn't feel as heavy as it is because of this. I think this just goes to show that while you can have an uber powerful device, if it's not human-friendly, software or hardware-wise, it can have a major impact on that end-user experience, which is the most important thing of all. Okay, that's all. This was a really short one, but before we jump to number 3, you could hit the like button and you could subscribe because I'm back making videos. Hello! I appreciate you guys. I really do. The storage potential. Okay, maybe not the standard storage out of the gate. While 1 terabyte has become a fairly okay amount for a fair amount of modern games, for many that are hardcore gamers, it's just not quite enough for our extensive back catalog, and for someone like me who travels all the time and has extremely mixed and unreliable experiences with airport and hotel Wi-Fi, I can confidently say that 1 terabyte just isn't enough for me. In my opinion, one of the biggest upgrades to the X over the original Ally is the new NVMe storage sizes that are supported by the system. Gone are the days of the smaller form factor NVMe SSDs, and now full-size NVMe drives are supported, meaning that you could theoretically put up to an 8 terabyte drive in there, although I've only seen people put a 4 terabyte in, so there might be some support issues there, but at least 4 terabytes for sure, because that's what I've got in here. Also, an 8 terabyte drive would just be super expensive, and while 4 terabytes is definitely also expensive, unless you're hardcore ballin' and you are not worried about a budget, I would just stick in for anywhere from 2 to 4 terabytes. And that being said, I did indulge myself a little bit and I bought a 4 terabyte drive and loaded it into my system along with a 1 terabyte micro SD card from Samsung, since the SD card reader actually functions and doesn't destroy your system now. ASUS, thank you. So now I'm able to carry around 5 terabytes of storage for almost all of my games and my retro library on the SD card, which has me feeling very cozy on the road. I no longer have to worry about installing titles like Call of Duty because while it still does take an astronomical amount of memory for a modern game, it no longer commands most of my available storage and still leaves plenty of room for other games. Not to mention, it doesn't bog me down when I want to play games that have large install bases with friends when I'm on the road, since I don't have to move things around and re-download them constantly. But then again, my update menu on Steam is constantly refreshing each day with new updates, so did I win? Who knows? The perils of modern gaming. Now, if I can only decide which games to play, and better yet, which OS to put them on, because that's right, my next point is Azite. Like the coolest thing I've seen in a long time on these devices. So the last 2 sections were intentionally left shorter than normal because I have a feeling this is where I'm gonna talk a lot. So fair heads up, grab a drink. Azite has honestly completely changed my gaming experience with portable handheld PCs, and the amazing thing is that if you're watching and you don't have an ROG Ally X, but you have an original Ally, this modification is entirely possible on the original Ally as well. And given my experience, I would recommend it if you're willing to go through the tedious setup process. I'm not gonna go through the setup process in this video because I don't really want to uninstall and do it all again given how much I have stored on my console, but there was a fantastic video by Retro Gamecore that covers this, and I used that video when I was doing my own setup, so definitely go watch his video as well. Yes, this will take some time and your speed and time may vary, but for me, it took about an hour to do, likely due to my hard drive size and an internet problem that I encountered as well. But once you're set up, you'll have effectively the same Steam Deck software experience that you would on a Steam Deck, but with all the bells and whistles that come with the ROG Ally X. That means a clean library setup, quick menu access, all the normal customization features of Steam Deck, plus the things that Decky plugin can do as well, so you're not limited with plugins either. Setting up retro gaming is a breeze since you can download Emo Deck and get rolling incredibly fast. And yes, I read the comment where you made fun of the way that I pronounced Emo Deck. I like the bird. I'm gonna keep calling it Emo Deck even though I know it's wrong. It makes me laugh. It's funny. And my absolute most requested and most needed feature that I was never able to get before on the original Ally and on Windows, although Although, had I known about Bazite, I guess I technically could have done that before, but never mind. It is the fact that I can properly put my system into sleep mode and not have the battery drain after just a couple of hours. Like, I put my console in sleep mode, come back 2 days later, and only 5 to 10% of my battery is missing. And it's not incredible, it's Bazite. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't disclose that during the setup process, Bazite does require you to allow it to the root level of your system. So, as always, with any app that does that, proceed with caution. And for those that are wondering, wait, doesn't that mean you lose all the benefits of Windows compatibility with games then? Well, you can dual boot. And with the expanded storage mentioned in my previous point, there's more than enough room for me to now have a Windows install. For me, that's about 700 gigabytes to accommodate Call of Duty, Fortnite, and a handful of other VR titles that I'm gonna do an experiment with, which you should definitely get subscribed because I'm gonna be hopping into whether or not this can be a portable PC VR setup as well. I don't know, we'll see. I'm excited at the potential though. I'm sure it'll be a total mess, but the fun that you can have because you now have 2 USB-C slots is too tempting not to try out a few different experiments. All in all, I allot about 700 gigabytes to Windows and the remainder of my 4 terabyte NVMe to Bazite and Linux. And the SD card is formatted so that both OSs can read it, so even if I run into some weird compatibility issue when I'm running either Linux or Windows when I'm emulating titles, I can always divert to the other for the time being. So it's great. And now, with all of that said, my absolute favorite change with the ROG Ally X, which I've already kind of hinted at, is multiple USB-Cs, 2 to be exact. I cannot overstate just how useful this is to someone like me who is both an avid gamer, a traveling worker, a slowly maturing and growing content creator, and a professional video editor by trade. I am unfortunately cursed with a resolution bug built into my spaghetti CPU of a brain that makes it so hard for me to look at content on a flat screen interface that it is not at least 1080p and fluid. Yes, I absolutely love the Steam Deck OLED, and the clarity that OLED provides does make that resolution work for me when I'm on the road and I'm playing it. And admittedly, I do still prefer playing retro titles and titles with distinct blocky art style. The one thing I could never get past was the resolution. I love the Steam Deck, but I much prefer the resolution and clarity of the Ally series. What does this have to do with 2 USB-Cs and being a video editor? Well, when I travel, I've always wanted to be able to record gameplay of what I'm playing so that I could maybe make some gaming and software-centered content in addition to more of the hardware-centered focus that this channel is currently known for. If I'm actively recording a playthrough of a game or just getting B-roll for a video idea, I can now simultaneously charge my device while outputting a video signal to my laptop in 1080p at fairly high quality, which allows my viewers to have a better quality image so that I can record gameplay on the go. The biggest thing is so that I can now record gameplay on the go and I don't have to worry about lugging around 2 laptops. I can just have my 1 laptop and my ROG Ally X. It's made my life so much easier for recording gameplay, and it's actually encouraged me to want to make other videos, so get subscribed if you want to see that sort of stuff. Really been wanting to make Fallout videos, so maybe that'll be coming soon. And while I know a lot of content consumers, myself included, don't necessarily hold a content creator to the edge if they can't record their gameplay in the absolute highest quality possible, I've always felt that 1080p is sort of the minimum that I generally prefer watching myself, since it still looks great on a small screen and looks fine when blown up on a TV or a larger desktop screen. Now, if you full screen, well, that could be different. But then again, thankfully, with the added power of the upgraded RAM, the thermodynamics, along with the flexibility of the second USB-C, I can output a video signal at higher frame rates, which often works to even things out, even if the textures and shadows don't look quite as good in my recordings. It also means that I can try making videos where I genuinely replace my laptop on short trips, since I can charge this with one cable and connect an external display with the other. Perhaps for some people, this means the ROG Ally X could be genuinely a laptop replacement in certain scenarios. Maybe more on that in a future video. So, in short, as the video title says, I love the ROG Ally X, and it has absolutely redefined my relationship with portable PC handhelds to an even better degree. I will always love my Steam Deck OLED. For now, it sits back there. I love having it on set, but we may have outgrown each other a little bit. If you like this video, make sure to hit like and get subscribed. I'm Professor Tech, and if you're still here, maybe consider checking out some of my other videos on this channel, or you can also head over to my new channel, Professor Tech TV. There's only one video over there right now, it's my Vice City review, but I'd appreciate if you could send some love its way, just so I can find out whether or not it's content people would like to see. I love you all, it's good to be back, and I will see you soon. Bye, friends.